if the elections aren't open source, third party verified, decentralized, something like that, that I could go on and see
Great
my
question.
vote along with Joe Schmo, go on to see where my election tally is, then it is compromised. What do you think?
I'm going to answer it this way because I think the question is probably how do we guarantee going into this next election in 90 days, less than 90 days, we have a free, fair, fully transparent election in the most pristine fashion possible, knowing the limit on time? There is one method to do that, and it's so simple, and it follows the letter of our U.S. Constitution. Look up Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. The way that the state legislatures created the Constitution, they left the authority on allocating their state's electoral votes for president and vice president with the legislative body, House and Senate, right? So imagine a time on November 5th when the state House and the state Senate in all 50 states has a live streamed, in person, roll call vote on how those members of that legislature allocate their state's electoral votes. That means no illegals are voting. That means you're not using a machine. That means you have no software involved in that machine. That means you have no dirty voter rolls. That means you have no drop boxes. You have no mail in ballots. You have no overseas ballots. You have no foreign influence. You have a completely pristine system that the entire world can view live and recorded, where you see what state rep and how they vote, next state rep and how they vote. You know how many registered voters there are in each state house and state senate across the nation. You know how many are registered Republican and how many are registered Democrat. And you get to see how they vote. And guess what, America? 174 electoral votes are controlled by majority Republican legislatures. So, if every but one votes by political party under this framework, guess what happens? A free and fair, transparent election. And if you're concerned that, oh, what about the toxic, feckless, stone cold coward, gutless simp that's complicit and is on the take from Big Pharma and doesn't want to vote for the Republican nominee? I remind them this, and I remind them to remind their state rep and state senator that may vote against the Republican nominee. We will do to you in a much more aggressive manner and tone than what we did to Lizzie Cheney or Adam Kinzinger. You will face a political response and a legal, moral, and ethical response in a way that you and your family are not willing to withstand. Imagine those Republicans that voted in that Republican member of the House or Senate that are their constituents. What will they do to that person when they come back to the community after a vote for the Democrat nominee? What are the business owners going to do to them?
Accountability.
What are
Yeah.
the business owners going to do? What are
Yeah.
their neighbors going to do? What is the local bank where they bank at going to do? What is everybody in their ecosystem going to do? The sky's the limit.
Right.
Use your
Agreed.
imagination. And I think that they're willing to go to the maximum.
Yeah.
But I
Because they're
always
not being
advocate for
represented.
legal,
Exactly.
moral, and ethical maximum.
Yeah. One last question. I know we're about to be done on time, and kind of to caveat of what we're just saying is that, and I've heard some of your rhetoric in the sense that you're not, I'm not, again, I think like it's simple to say I'm a right wing, I'm a Republican, I'm Democrat, where I see so often that a Republican, a Democrat are just the opposite sides of the same coin. And you've referenced
The only
Republicans and
thing worse
Democrats.
than the Republican is a Democrat.
And so what's
There's nothing
your
worse.
thought to fin what's what's your thought on, so if somebody's listening to this, and so like I have family that are left wing, everybody's kind of both sides of that, to say that this isn't about Republican, Democrat, right wing, left wing. It's about, I think it's about the seeking of the truth. I
Right.
want the truth because I
Let
operate with
me
radical transparency and truthfulness, and so
I
What's
got
your
one,
thought?
like a
Last
minute
thought
or
there.
so. Let me answer it this way.
Yeah.
Great question. So specifically to those folks that you're referring to, I want to, like, if you look at my list, you know who's on there? Jared Kushner is on my list. Mike Pence is on my list because those were the two individuals that were managing Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx with the whole COVID con. Jared Kushner was the shadow governor. Mike Pence was the publicly facing leader of that White House coronavirus task force as they doled out contracts on who would be executed through the ventilators, as they asphyxiated on who would get the contracts for the face toilets, and then who would be medically nose raped through the PCR tests, as they made money hand over fist. Pence's affiliates and Jared Kushner's affiliates. I don't care about political party. Number two, when Elon Musk discloses the trove of evidence that he's sitting on, you're going to see many Republicans and many Democrats that we're going to collectively see as being part of the destruction of our constitutional order and the curated, manipulated, deliberate falsification of information to make sure that they could create a new product line known as self mutilation. You guys refer to it as trans. That is called self mutilation. It's creating a new medical product line that is maiming, disfiguring, castrating, mutilating you and your children,
Okay.
unbeknownst to you. And you
You,
thought it was a
yeah.
natural effect.
No. I did a post on that just the other day on X. So it's me and I have a
Follow the
14-year-old
money.
son, and yeah, yeah. Well, sir, thank you very much for your time. It's
So,
been
step one,
enlightening. I
mother
am,
of all Twitter files,
yeah,
September 3rd. That will
yep,
be the impetus for the political courage to make us move to elections that are by the state legislatures. And then we can start to conduct precedent that was already set by
yes,
Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis on the law enforcement side, and then Michael Byrd and Lila Morris. Because Michael Byrd conducted objectively reasonable conduct, didn't he, when he executed Ashley Babbitt? And Lila Morris conducted what? Objectively reasonable conduct when she executed Roseanne Boylan. So, when the evidence is released and the DAs conduct the same thing that Fannie and Alvin did, then the sheriffs can do the same thing that the law enforcement, U.S. Capitol Police and Metropolitan Police Department did to peaceful First Amendment, unarmed election justice rally attendees. They set the precedent. We will continue it times 600.